Functions are very straightforward in Python, so I thought that to discuss that before might be better. So I'll just go ahead with this. I guess you guys have seen functions before, right? In maybe some other languages. Sudeepa, in which language did you see functions?
C.
C. So uh, in C, you have something like void static main, right? And then you give something like parenthesis.
Yes, right.
Yes.
Same with you, Satya?
Yes.
Okay. So in Python, how you write function is using, there is a keyword to write a function. So uh, you can write function using a def. Uh, so you to define a function, you use a def keyword. Okay, and then you write the function name, and then inside the brackets you give the like the arguments, and then you give a colon, and then you write the code, and then finally you have a return statement.
So, this is the generic format.
So this is an actual function. This function will work. The generic format, I'll tell you. This one, name of the function, okay, all the arguments, then a column, then the, let's say, the code, and then return whatever the result. So this is the general format. Make sense? Any comments, confusion? Okay, so okay, so if sorry,
Satya was telling something.
No doubt.
okay. So a function is a block of code that takes in some data and either performs some kind of transformation or returns the transform data, or performs some task on the data, or both. Functions are useful because they provide a high degree of modularity. Similar code can be easily grouped into functions, and you can provide a name to the function that describes what the function is for. Functions are the simplest and sometimes the most useful tool for writing modular code. Okay, any questions? Okay, so you can see I have written a very simple function here. So it basically takes two arguments and just gives me the addition of those two arguments. So if I print it, it gives me like addition of 1 and 2 gives me 3. Okay, so in C you have something called a void function, but in Python you don't have a void function. Python functions always return something, but you can like write a void or write a function that acts like a void function. If you write a void function, it will simply return none. So in this case, if you see, I have not put any return statement. So by default, it will like it returned a none. So does this make sense or not?
No. Could you please explain again?
Sorry, I did not get it.
We did not understand what is that.
Understand? Yeah.
So here you can see I have a return statement, right?
Yes.
But I don't have a return statement here. This is equivalent to this, basically.
Here return none means.
So null
Okay,
is a basically a null, a generic null value. Okay, so none is a generic null value. It has no value. It is similar to
Yeah, I got that one. But here where you have written like return a plus b, that means it will return.
correct.
If we're not mention any return, then it will not return, right?
No, it Python functions always return something. So if you
Okay.
don't mention it, it will return none.
Mhm. Okay.
I mean, it will return null value.
It will return a null value. That's the point.
Yeah, yeah, got it.
In this case, we are not returning anything. That is why here you can see it's like, so this print.
I mean, it will print that like this is the void function, and then the none, which is the null value of v2.
Okay, till here makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Okay. The next thing about function is the scope of a variable. So in Python, what you can do is, if you see here, I have a global variable, and what I'm doing is I'm changing the value of the global variable from 0 to 1, and I have also defined a local variable to be 2. So I am printing the value of the global and the local variable. If you can see, if I execute this function, like it is printing the global variable and the local variable. Till just focus till here and see if you understand it or not. This print statement might be a little complicated. Let me print inside the function. Okay, so print global variable, print local. Okay, so till here, like, tell me if you understand or not. So here I have a global variable, but I'm changing the global variable inside, and I'm defining a local variable, and I'm printing those two. So this will print the change here. So that is why global variable is like this. Okay.
Yeah.
But what I'm doing is I am printing global variable and local variable outside the function. So interesting thing, global variable is 0. I changed my global variable here, but my global variable did not change outside the function. Also, my if I print the local variable is not defined. So local variable does not exist outside the scope of the function.
Okay. I mean, if you are mentioning inside the function, then only it will print, otherwise it will not print.
Correct. So you can, if you define a local variable inside a function, you can only use that local variable inside the function. You cannot use it outside. Okay. Now, let's say you have a global variable and you want to actually edit the global variable. You have to use the global keyword. Okay. So what I'm doing, I have a global variable. I define the inside my function. I'm saying global variable, which means that tag this global variable to this global variable. And now after changing the global variable, my global variable gets transformed to 1.
But this is you are mentioning inside the function only, right?
Okay, so let me, one sec. Now I've commented it out.
Okay, that means it changed.
So I'm printing my global variable, so it changed. But I'm still not able to access the local variable because I did not put global, or I did not define local variable
So
outside.
global is a, I mean, what exactly? I mean, this is a
So
command to
to
something.
change, or this tags the local variable with the global one. So like it will say that I am accessing the global variable here in this case. And any confusion, Satya?
No.
Okay. Interesting. Like, so functions, you do not have to only, so functions are first class citizens, which means that you can pass functions to functions. If you see here, I have a simple function and I am taking this function and like this, or this higher level function is basically takes a function as a function itself as an argument. So functions that take functions as arguments are called higher level functions or higher order functions. Does
No,
this,
I'm not getting this.
not getting this, huh? Okay. So
And one more thing I just want to mention you. I failed like I mean, day before yesterday's one was better than this way.
okay. Day before yesterday's one was better this than this way, huh?
Yeah,
Okay. We can go back to that also.
yeah.
Okay. Then add, let me type it out here. Does this make sense, or is this like you guys can look
I
at
can
it?
say.
Okay. So let's say I have a functions example dot py. Okay, so I have a simple function called add to 5, okay, which takes an argument, and I will return arg1 plus 5, okay, and add to 5 of, let's say, 6. So what should be the answer of this? You guys can see the code, right? What should be the answer? Yes. So what should be the answer of this?
11.
11, right? So okay. So if I write, it's giving me 11, right? But I don't have, interestingly, I can also pass functions to functions, which means that I can have a higher order function which takes a function as a parameter argument, and like the accompanying arguments, and I can do print inside the HOF function and then return. I will execute it here. below we are going to execute the higher order function. Okay, so we can do it. HOF, and here I am passing, look at this, add to 5, which is the function, and the argument, or let's say, let me give some other argument, let's give it 10, so answer should be 15, right?
Yeah.
So any confusion with the code here?
What this HOF function is doing?
I'll show you the code. So HOF function is taking the function and executing it basically.
Okay.
Does it make sense? So the point I am trying to make here is that functions are, in the sense, they are first class citizens, which means that you can pass them similar to data. Like here we are passing the data, right, to a function. You can treat a function similar to how you treat data. Does it make sense, or it's somewhat like too much? It's a little bit different. It's on these kind of properties only present in modern programming languages. It's not present in some of the older programming languages such as C. Even in C probably you can do that, but you'll have to do a lot of manual handling of pointer code. So Python will take care of those stuff for you. Does it make sense somewhat, Satya? Any comments on this?
No, actually that higher order of function means one function passing the argument to another function, right?
Higher order function means that the arguments itself are functions.
Yes, yeah, correct.
So what I'm trying to focus on here is that you don't need to restrict yourself to writing functions that only take data. You can even write functions that take in other functions as well. And like basically the sky is the limit in terms of your imagination, that how you want to implement your code.